Hi everyone, Mark Savage here and welcome back. Today, I want to talk a little bit about something a little different. Um, as you know, I've been studying the law of attraction and the teachings of Abraham Hicks. And I've kind of been living my life that way. And I've really been living my absolute best life ever. I've been happier than I've ever been. I've been feeling better than I've ever been. Just life's just really good since I've been following these teachings. And one of the things that I've learned, not only through Abraham Hicks, but through quantum physics and things like that, is everything that exists is energy and vibration. So if everything's energy, which makes sense, right? Everything's energy, then that energy has some sort of a vibration to it. That's just the way it is. And so whatever we focus on affects our vibration. So recently, I've been looking at YouTube and some of the mainstream media, very, very little mainstream media, but in general, looking at economics and finance, and I've always had a tremendous interest in that. But what I discovered was recently is it's so hard to watch the news. Again, even if it's not mainstream media, right? If it's YouTube stuff, it's people that are really promoting opposite opinions to what would be mainstream media. It doesn't really matter who it is that you're listening to. They're all basically the same in one respect. They all use negative emotion, fear, anger, etc. in their broadcasts, in their content, in an effort to kind of scare you and get you to see things from their perspective. And what I've discovered is, as much as I'm interested in their perspective, and I really am, because I do believe that the mainstream media, the government, and the like are not telling it to us straight. They're giving us very, very contradictory information, etc. And wanting to get somebody else's perspective different than the mainstream media and government, it was the direction I was headed. But what I discovered was they're not any different than the mainstream media or the government, right? In the sense that while they may be more accurate, they may be more quote unquote truthful, what they're doing is they're still using fear, they're still using anger, they're still pointing you in a very negative vibrational direction. Excuse me. And because you can't focus on something without being affected by it, I really decided I'm not going to be doing that anymore. No more news for me, whether it's YouTube, whether it's the regular news. I'm not saying I'll never look at the news, I'll never read an article. I don't mean that. But for the most part, I was doing a lot of it every day. And I was doing it because I was interested, primarily. And then I started doing some videos on it. And what I discovered was it took a lot of work for me to kind of get my vibration back up after watching these videos. And that doesn't work for me. I mean, again, as I said, I've other than maybe somewhat recently, I'm really living my best life. I've been nothing but happy. I'm just happy-go-lucky. Things are just working out perfectly for me in most respects. And I find that when I watch the news or somebody's version of the news, or a different perspective, let's say on YouTube, they're all still very angry. They're all still fear. It's all this negative stuff. And it doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on. It doesn't matter if you're on the government news side of the fence, because it's all fear-based, right? Not necessarily in the economy, but certainly with one of the people I watch calls it the cerveza sickness. I love it. Corona beer, so he calls it the cerveza sickness. Love it. But cerveza sickness, everything around the cerveza sickness is all doom and gloom. It's all fear. It's all fear-based. It's all threat-based. It's all this stuff. And it just doesn't feel good to watch and listen to that. Now, if you flip the other side of things, what I was watching YouTube for primarily was on economics, finance, business, and things like that. And it's still, all that fear-based stuff, right? So it's the market's going to crash, and I do believe the market's going to crash, but it's not being told from the perspective of, hey, that's a great thing, right? It's all this negative stuff around maybe why the market hasn't crashed, or what the government's doing that's all kinds of naughty, or how the government's lying about the economy, or how the Fed manipulates the economy, or whatever it is. It's not important, but the idea is that all these topics are geared towards fear and negativity. And so even though a lot of these people on YouTube are the polar opposite of the mainstream media in what they're telling you, they're not telling it to you any differently. They're all telling it to you in this negative, fear-based, anger-based perspective. And what I've realized is I don't want to have to do all this emotional, vibrational work to bring my vibration back up because I was watching some videos or whatever and my vibration lowered. And there are so many examples I can give where this happened. In fact, I'll give you a quick little story. I was at the gym, and usually at the gym at the end of my workout, I go outside and live in Florida, so I can always go outside for the most part. I go outside and I do my creative workshop. I do a short little meditation with my creative workshop, and I'll talk about a lot about these processes that I use throughout my upcoming videos. But I went outside and I had a little extra time, so I watched some of the videos that I was interested in on the economy, and I went back inside to get dressed and go home. And I finished up getting dressed, and I hear a conversation, a couple of lockers over about the economy and some guy's financial planner or money manager, and some other guy says to the money manager, so you think I missed a piece of the conversation. It's like, well, the part that I heard was like, so you think the market's just going to keep going up forever? The real estate's just going to keep going up forever? You don't think it's ever going to drop or the bubble will ever pop? And I didn't hear the other guy's perspective, but the conversation went in such a way that that my feeling was that the financial planner, the wealth manager, the money manager, that he was basically saying, the market's not going to drop and everything's fine and everything's peachy. And I didn't agree. And so as I'm walking out, I stopped and said not to the money manager, to the other guy, I said to him, of course the market is going to drop, all right? There's been bubbles throughout history, and every bubble ends up the same way. And I named off a bunch of bubbles. And then the next thing that came out of my mouth, and it's not the way I feel, right? It's not the way I generally feel. But I had just listened to some video on the economy and whatever, and what the Fed is doing, what the government is doing, and it brought my vibration down. And so I ended up saying to the guy, to the wealth planner, well, I shouldn't say that. I started to say to the other guy, not the wealth, the money manager. I had said something to the effect of, and who gets hurt? You get hurt. I get hurt. This guy gets hurt, right? The big guys never get hurt, and I don't believe that. I don't agree with that. That's ridiculous. Of course, the big guys get hurt. I'm not saying that nobody comes out ahead, that nobody schemes and scams their way out of it. But my perspective when I had said this was that the big guys are bad and doing bad things. And again, while there may be some of that going on, I don't believe that the big guys don't get hurt. I don't believe with an economic collapse that everybody, for the most part, gets hurt. I do believe that that's what happens. But my vibration was so kind of off that I went down this path that I normally would never go down. And the way I ended the conversation was, I didn't know the guy was a money manager. And in my conversation, I had made some comments about The Big Short, and his response was, oh yeah, I know all about this. I'm a money manager, and I know. And my immediate response was, hey, wonderful. You know everything that's going on. You know the market's not going to crash. Everything's great. You have a great day. And I walked out. Now, the thing about that whole interaction was, again, my vibration wasn't as high as it could be, and I was a little put off by the video that I saw, and it affected my interaction with two people. All right. Now, I don't interact with people that often, and so I don't have that issue that often. But the idea is, by watching some videos about things I was even interested in, but because the people that were presenting the content had this negative aspect on things and this angry, fearful attitude about things, it affected my vibrations so that when I was talking to somebody else, my reaction, the way I spoke to these people were based on the video that I saw, right? And again, I'm not talking about the video that I saw from the perspective of the content, the specific content of what was happening, as much as the idea that my vibration was affected negatively in the sense of like angry, fearful, etc. And I'm not saying that I was angry, right? Because if you look at the emotional scale, and I'll put it in the description below, you have joy up here and you have despair down here, right? And then you have all these things in the middle. And I'm not saying that I went down to despair, right? I wasn't all the way down there. And it probably wasn't even anger, but it might have been like frustration, overwhelmment, those emotions. And my reaction was one that I couldn't help. And the reason I say I couldn't help it is because my vibration is where my vibration is. If you're angry, you can't be happy, right? When was the last time you were angry and instantly happy? It doesn't work that way, right? You have to work your way up that emotional scale. And so my vibration was lowered enough that I had what I deemed to be a bad reaction to two people that had nothing to do with me in the end. And so I'm really not going to be doing much in the way of economic videos, financial videos. I'm not saying I won't talk about that at all, or about finance and money and things like that. But it's really not going to be about the economy at large. It's really not going to be about anything in the news for the most part. It's primarily going to be about my life, how I'm living my life, how I'm living the best life that I ever have. I mean, I think I'm 53 years old. I always forget my age. I was born in 1968, and it's 2000. Almost 22, which would make me 54. So I'm 53. I'll be 54 next month. It's like I have to do the math. And I don't like doing math in public because usually I mess it up. But 53 years old, and I'm living the best life I've ever lived. And I'm not necessarily financially in the best place I've ever been, or health, weight-wise. Health-wise, I'm in excellent health. But weight-wise, I'm not necessarily as thin as I've ever been. But I'm still the happiest I've ever been. So I don't base it on finances. I don't base my joy on my weight, because right now I'm not a weight that I want to be, so I don't focus on that. So again, what I'm going to be talking about most of the time in these videos, again, it's going to be my life, my experiences in my life, how I use the law of attraction and the teachings of Abraham to live my best life, to live a spectacular life. And as I go through these videos, you're going to see the kind of life I live, and it's spectacular. And it may not be spectacular for everybody. Some people might look at my life and say, that's terrible. But for me, it's spectacular. For me, it's wonderful. I'm happy. I live on the beach. I just have a great life. It's easy. It's mostly frustration-free. I have a wonderful girlfriend who I love more than I ever thought I could love another person in my life other than my son. And it's a wonderful experience that I'm having. And so what I wanted to do in this video is kind of give you a little bit of an idea of the break that I'm making and the direction I'm going to be going. And again, it's going to be more about the law of attraction, the teachings of Abraham Hicks, and the way I'm living my life to live the best life I've ever had. And with that, I'd like to say thanks for tuning in. If you like the content, please click the like button. Let's get these videos out to other people so that they can live their best lives. And of course, smash the subscribe button. I come out with videos, a number of videos every day. Try that again. I come up with another number of videos every week. I don't do a video every day. I do maybe 2 to 4 videos a week. But this way you get notified when the videos come out by subscribing. And so once again, I want to say thank you, and I'll see you next time.